Guys, I will start and then I will forget.
Okay.
Yeah, it's recording for now.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. So, it's 4 o'clock right now, everybody. But I'd like to wait just a few more minutes as more people come on board. So if everybody's okay, let's wait about 3 to 5 minutes and then we'll all get started, okay? So glad to see those of you that are already on board here. I'm sure you're going to find this most informative, and we'll give you a little update when we get started on what's coming up on the agenda. Um, our team is going to be doing some additional development. So let's wait 3 to 5 minutes or 3 to 4 minutes or so, and we'll get started. Just wait a few more minutes, and like I said, I'm glad to see those of you that are already on board, and we're excited about being able to share with you uh, what our team is doing and help you all get moved to the next level of your abilities to utilize these wonderful tools that are changing university education, rapidly changing the workforce, and very much in demand by the workforce for no matter what discipline you're in. I see Dr. Mativa is on board. Dr. Mativa, do you do
Hello,
you,
everybody. Yeah.
should we wait a little longer? I know you're having.
Yeah, maybe just 2 minutes. How about
Okay,
the 4:05? Yeah,
okay,
and yes,
okay,
okay.
will
All
do.
right. Thank
Thank
you. Thank you.
you. Well, let me go ahead and get started. Uh, I see we have a wonderful group here today. Thank you all for joining. This is very exciting. Not only this series is very exciting that we're doing, but what's happening in the world of artificial intelligence and machine learning, but also in the world of quantum information processing. So let's get started. Let me tell you, first of all, welcome to what is um, our series here on our introduction to generative AI, a hands-on introduction for faculty, staff, and students. We intentionally are including staff and students along with faculty because this is a new world we're in. Uh, AI, machine learning, which involves machine learning and deep learning, which is all fostered by data science, big data science, is is part of the new frontiers in every single discipline that we have cutting across campus, whether it's STEM or non-STEM. And so our challenge is being sponsored by a major grant from the Department of Commerce called Connecting Minority Communities. And my part of it is building Big Data University, K through 20. Other parts of this big major grant, $5.35 million grant, have produced broadband capabilities for the campus, which right now are at 100G, and in a month or so, we'll be at 400G. But also, that grant is also providing Wi-Fi capabilities for all parts of the campus that were vacant spots, and it's also providing connectivity to houses adjacent to our campus, our minority communities connecting adjacent to our campus. We're working on 100 to 200 homes to be connected. So this is very much about economic development, and it's very much about getting our faculty and our students and staff to utilize these tools as we not only advance our learning modalities, but also as tools to accelerate and augment traditional methods of research. So today we have Dr. Carlos Terán Suarez, who is going to speak, and I believe today's session is going to be on notebook LMs, but we will have another session next week uh, uh, on integrating generative AI with content tools into the programming curriculum. And so after we finish this sequence, we are planning to actually engage faculty and students and staff on a one-to-one basis. If you so desire, we will actually work with you to actually the members of the data science, AI, machine learning, research and learning cluster will be available to work with faculty, staff, and students and actually get them connected to the wonderful tools that are on this fantastic optical fiber network that sends data across the country at the speed of light. It's called the National Research Platform. And it's fantastic software called the Nautilus Cognitive Computing Ecosystem with all its over 1,000 graphical processing units that are there for you to use free of cost for research and learning purposes. But, you know, last week, a major announcement was made by the CEO of NVIDIA. And so now not only are we in this beautiful world of GPUs and CPUs brought together to create the Nautilus Cognitive Computing Ecosystem, which is the software for the National Research Platform, and that does use NVIDIA chips. But now we're going to have, as was announced last week, a new architecture and involves quantum um, uh, processing unit, graphical processing units, and CPUs all together, governed by an AI system. And this is going to rapidly change. If you thought the last 4 or 5 years was we were moving very quickly, well, now we're going to be skyrocketing. So you will be telling you more about this, and but it is exciting. And let's get started with today's presentation. And after our presentation, we will be sending out a survey to all of those participating, and we definitely want to hear back from you. And I hope you will fill out the survey. So, Dr. Terán Suarez, can I turn it over to you?
Yes, sir. So, good evening, everybody. So first, thanks for taking part of your time to attend this series lecture, and hopefully it will be of your benefit as well, what we're going to discuss today here. So I just want to clarify first, there were some changes in the days and the topics. So the topics that we are going to be discussing today is integrating generative AI tools into the programming curriculums, mainly in programming courses, a pilot study on enhancing student learning. So that's what we are going to be discussing today. And hopefully we will have a good discussion from this topic. Let me share my screen with you all. So let's see. I'm trying to see here. Okay. I think that we're good now. Can you see my presentation? Okay, well, the presentation that we have for you all today is integrating generative AI tools into programming curriculum. That's a pilot study on enhancing student learning. This is mainly experience that I went through last semester that I was integrating a generative AI tool into the design and analysis of algorithms course that is an advanced course in the CIS program. And I will mainly to share my experience, what were those advantages that I see, or the advantage outcomes that I get from integrating these tools, and also the main challenges and how I try to mitigate those challenges that I experience through integrating generative AI in this course. So first, I want to introduce myself for those that doesn't know me. So I'm Carlos Teran. I'm assistant professor at CIS department, and I have around 10 years experience working with machine learning and deep learning models. Apply for different application in different areas like remote sensing and healthcare. So my main area of research is image analysis and computer visions, remote sensing, and spatial data science. Lastly, I've been working with degenerative disease analysis, applying machine learning and deep learning models. Also, I have worked and have some experience working with natural language processing application and cloud and high performance computing in building cloud and high performance computing infrastructure, and working with data fusion techniques, apply also machine learning and deep learning models. So that's a part of my background. Since I've been here, working here, and during my PhD as well. Well, what is the main objective for this presentation that I got for you? I want to show you the evaluation that I experienced and the impact of integrating generative AI tool in the CIS course. In particular, this is an advanced course, so we have to take into account that the students are already some basic background or a strong foundation in the area of computer science. I want to examine how generative AI can enhance the student learning efficiency by identifying some challenges during the pedagogical activities, ethical considerations. You will see a particular case with for the first test that I was taking, some ethical considerations that we have to address when we are integrating generative AI, and the potential risks, social over-reliance, plagiarisms, and some things that maybe all of the instructor and professor we're worried about is the critical thinking, right? That's a skill that maybe generative AI maybe can be relegated by these tools. But let's see, and we can discuss, right, how we can actually go over this particular risk. So before to start, why in the academia we need to move to that duration, that new frontier of a large language model? So as maybe you know, ChatGPT was released in November 30, and by December, ChatGPT gained over 1 million of users. So that was actually a record for the fastest adoptions for an application. So that was released in November 30, 2022, and in a month, in 5 days, actually 5 days, it reached 1 million of registered users. So if you see this exponential use, so everybody in every field is actually adopting a particular large language model. These metrics right here is just taking into account ChatGPT. So I'm not actually including Gemini or Llama or any other large language model. So but by today, today we have 800 millions of subscribers in ChatGPT. So everybody is actually familiar in using somehow this tool, generative AI. So that means that we have to start learning how to use it adequately and start using adoption of these tools into our courses, right? So also, if we see where the revenue that generative AI is providing by 2020, there was a 40 billions of revenue for these companies that were utilizing generative AI. So by 2024, they were 137 billions of revenue and 3% of investment of the total technology spent out of 137. So, and it's expected by 2032, the incomes be at trillions of dollars. So it's 1,304 billion that is expected as a revenue. So this frontier is going to keep growing, and more with the quantum computing, as Dr. Elowos mentions. So this is not just a trending, this is something that is changing the future, right? And the way that we are doing the things right now. Well, in education, there is also a growing trending in the use of in the educations for generative AI drug discovery software. There is an increment of 103% of using generative AI for research and education. So generative AI in education is spending actually 53% of budgets at adopting these tools, generative AI tools, large language models. In particular, generative AI education is spending in the 2022 370 billions for that, which is a 53% of the budget for education adopting this tool. So we are moving to adopting this tool in research, and the way that we are also disseminating the knowledge in our courses. In particular, artificial intelligence is transforming technology in many areas. We are talking about healthcare and finance. They were a survey about 150 healthcare system, and 85% is actually adopting generative AI tools for their applications and the daily activities. So 85% are actually adopting or are thinking to do the adoptions of generative AI tools. So we have that 12.72% of Fortune 500 companies are using OpenAI technology, including 2 million developer working with application in the financial sector. 13.94 of executives believe that artificial intelligence will be critical in business. Tech companies, marketing, IT leaders, and executive leaders are adopting generative AI on their daily basic activities. So there is a clear evolution and usability of generative AI. This advancement is reshaping any sector that we may name, and is refining the knowledge, how the knowledge is being disseminated, is being generated, and that is applied also in the academia, right? So most of the innovation in artificial intelligence has the capacity right now to produce human-like tests, can execute code, and solve complex problem-solving tasks. So those are some capabilities that this tool can do nowadays. So we have to take the best advantage of this tool and make it our own to reshape the way that we are doing our lecturings and sharing the knowledge, right? Well, generative AI capabilities create new opportunities to modify or to create new modalities in the teaching and the learning in higher educations. Also, generative AI can help us to design or update the curriculums, mainly in programming and algorithms, reasoning, which are fundamental applications or some of the tasks that this large language model can be used. The sample that I have for you today is mainly in a programming course, but I think that this can be actually extended to any other discipline. And mainly the ethical and the legal considerations that we need to apply so that can easily be extended to any other field. Well, researchers study the capacity of large language models such as ChatGPT to enhance the student learning. If you look for now, that is a hot topic nowadays. The people is trying to find out the best way to integrate these tools into the curriculum and take the best advantage from this. And also there are some challenges that we are going to discuss later that needs to be mitigated. Using these tools into the educations that enable individualized instructions that offer instant feedback and provide engagement through iterative activities. So as an instructor, I don't know if you're using one of these tools, but as an instructor, that can help you to be more creative, the way that you can design activities for your students. And also in the previous series, the last Wednesday, I think that was John, that was teaching us how to create our own model for a particular, like a tutoring that we can provide to the students, that they can follow art and get feedback from a XYZ activity or assignment. His capacity to provide flexible, on-demand support, commodity, and diverse learning needs. So those are some advantages that we can get from the use of generative AI in the academia, and mainly in the teaching and the learning methodologies. Well, in particular, in CIS courses, ChatGPT has demonstrated success solving programming tasks, as you may know. Also, last 2 weeks, we were talking with one of our colleagues from the pharmacy that she presented, I think that was Lucy, one of the applications that can create a whole code, a whole statistical analysis. Just from the prompt. So it's like you don't know explicitly how to do programming, and it actually provides a pretty good and accurate algorithms and solution for the problems that we have. So there are some resources that have found that correctly, in particular, ChatGPT correctly addressed 75.5% of exercises in the first attempt. But remember that this is like an iterative process. So as best that you do the prompts, so as best that you will get a good response from it. So if you do a fewer attempts, so the accuracy or at best a good response you can get with a 79.3 97.3% of accuracy you can get from these models. So it has a strong potential as a coding assistant. I don't know if you have used one of these tools for coding, but it do pretty well in any kind of languages, I may say, C++, Python, Java, R. These tools are providing really, really good and accurate results in terms of programming. So his ability to translate natural language prompts into functional code and reduce the time students and researchers spend on routine tasks like debugging coding. So that is a exhausting task. So we can actually reduce the time that we spend debugging this kind of algorithms or just recalling how a function needs to be called or used. So we can use that time to other priorities. It also provides immediate feedbacks, expose learning to advanced techniques, and serve as an intelligence tutor support struggling students. So we can actually create agents that can help us or specifically for a particular course that can be used as a tutor for the student in our class. So this is mainly, I may say that for all fields, but in this case, I'm just focuses more in CIS courses or programming courses because that is the sample that I will provide. So now the question is, and that is actually a really good question, at which level should we include generative AI? So are introductory courses or advanced courses? From my point of view, I will say, or I will be more on the side, the advanced courses is where generative AI should be strongly included. That's mainly because when we're introducing introductory courses, the students can rely too much on these tools, and maybe there are some skill that will be get behind, like for example, critical thinking or to promote solving problems. So those are some skills that can be in risk when we introduce or we let the students in introductory courses to use ChatGPT. So that is my point of view. So while we are using in advanced courses, AI assistants can accelerate the knowledge of acquisitions and increase productivity. So when students get into an advanced course, it's supposed that the student has some strong foundation. So it will it already has some critical thinkings and some problem solving skill. So in that case, it will use ChatGPT to improve the learning pace or to improve the productivity of solving a large projects or a large final project or a mini project or an in-class activity. So for those large scale projects, which are more applied to advanced courses, I think that I totally agree that ChatGPT or any large language model should be strongly include into these advanced courses rather than included into introductory courses. I think that in the introductory courses we may provide some test base what the ChatGPT can do or what large language model can do, and do some strong restrictions about his use. So that is just my personal opinion. So we can discuss that later. So that is a good questions that we may discuss at which level we should include this tool in our introductory courses or in advanced courses or in both. So there are some challenges that we face when we are integrating generative AI in the courses. So the adoptions raise significant ethical concerns, including risk of plagiarisms and over-reliance, right? It may hinder the development of critical thinking and skills such as independent research and problem solving. So this second item is the ones that is critical for me in introductory courses. That's why I do prefer to engage the student of using a large language model, ChatGPT, more in advanced courses, and maybe do more strong constraints about using these models in introductory courses. And that, again, that's my opinion that can be discussed. The propagation of biases or inaccurate information, even that there are some statistical, and it has been shown that all these large language models provide a pretty good response. Sometimes, there are some hallucinations from these models. Privacy and data security issues highlight the necessity for explicit institutional policies and safeguards. So that is something that is pretty concerned about the institutions, the leak of privacy or important information, the institution to outside. So there are some responsibility as instructor, as professor. So we have the responsibility then to establish clear guidelines about using these tools. So as the study emphasized, universities bear a crucial responsibility to establish clear guidelines. I will give you, in my case, what were the guidelines that I established for these students. They were two mainly guidelines: the in-class activity and in overall general guidelines or rules that I established in this course, to ensure that generative AI tools are used ethically and transparently, supporting student learning while serving academic integrity and ethical accountability. And AI tools supplement rather than replace the student learning, which is something that I experienced, and I will show you sort of statistical through the students' performance that I were able to get. So they are actually replacing these tools by the student learning. Thereby serving both skill development and ethical accountability in education. Well, this is a pilot study on generative AI integration. In particular, the course that I used was designing analysis for algorithms. That is an advanced course. Most of the students that are enrolled in this course are senior students last year of their programs. So this research investigate the potential advantage and challenges of integrating generative AI contents tool in real scenario. When I said in real scenario, is because I experienced by myself and from the students. I did have 25 students enrolled in this class. Solve complex computational problems by applying fundamental principles of engineering, science, and mathematics, which are some of the key terms solving problems that these large language models are capable to do, right? So the learning modality that I adopted was two mainly. It was active learning modality and based project learning. The classes during the lecture was a combination of theoretical part, but always they have an in-class activity after this learning modality. And also we have the base project learning. They always have a mini projects. And at the end, they have these large scale projects that they have to work on. So we emphasize to the ability to identify, formulate, and solve complex computational problems. The idea is that they have to apply principles of science and mathematics as well as engineering principles to solve the problem. So this was the learning modality that I adopted to run this course and integrate generative AI. Well, the grading strategy was I had to combine, I may say, two different methodologies of assessment. I combined the traditional assessment with, I don't know, with alternative assessment. So with the traditional assessment, I actually used it for the test. So the test was actually on paper. They were multiple choice, open questions, where the students should prove the critical thinking and fundamental concepts. So I want to make sure that they were not actually replacing the learning by just using or over reliance over of this generative AI. And the result was quite interesting, actually. So I did have 3 tests just to make sure that they were specifically not copying and pasting from this tool. And in general, I did have 12 in-class activity in person. All this was in persons to be able kind of monitoring the students in class. There were some mini projects, complex computing problems, and reports. So these in-class activities or the problems that were provided to the students were not quite straightforward to be solved. So it was a strong problem because they were allowed to use generative AI. So that's why the complexity of this problem was quite high, let's say that way. And also they have to provide some reports from this one. So this is in general the grading policy that I adopted for this course. Well, in general, the general AI policy that I use, this was in general for the course. One of the rules was ensure that all submission are your own original work, which, they were able to use a generative AI. AI tools can be used to assist in understanding concepts or generating ideas, but not the final content should be authored by you. The final content should be authored by you. If an AI tool contributed to your work, cite it appropriately, acknowledge any assistance provided by AI tools in your assignments. At the end of every in-class activity, I had like some small survey for the students, and I do ask if they use a generative AI and what were the prompts that they used. For to enhance their assignment or the result of their assignment. So at the end, I had this small survey where they can do or answer yes. I use a ChatGPT, and this is what I use, or the prompt that I used. So but doing that, I want to make sure that they acknowledge the use of this tool. Do not copy and paste content generated by AI without proper attribution. Plagiarism rules apply to AI generated content just as they do to any other source. Be transparent about using AI tools in your work. If AI tools help you in generating contents or solving problems, disclose this to your instructor. So again, I had this shared survey just asking if the student used it. So there were not any penalization. I did not penalize the students because they were able to use it. Even though the in-class activity, there were some categories about how to use generative AI that I will discuss it in the next slide. So I say, well, category 1, you can use, it's not restricted. Category 2, there are some limitation, and there were 3 different categories. Use AI tools ethically and responsibly, respecting copyrights and intellectual property. So these were like the general AI policy for the course. So now for the in-class activity AI policy, they were a specific categories. So there are 3 different categories: free use, limited use, and no use at all. So the first one, the free use, you are encouraged to use AI tools as you see fit, whether you are doing research, brainstorming ideas, or creating draft. AI can be valuable tool. So for per each assignment, at the top of the assignment, they were able to see if that was a category 1 or category 2, so they know what were the restrictions about using AI. So the second category, AI tool use, is limited to a specific situation. Your instruction will provide clear guidelines on when and how to use these tools. And the last one, no use. So AI tools are not allowed at all. Using AI in this course can result in, for the assignment, include a 0 or on the assignment or further disciplinary action. So mainly that was unethical behavior if they use generative AI for this third category. Well, now there were some tools that I used in order to run this course, in order to kind of monitoring the students. I use Corio. Corio is a platform to teach and learning in computer science. So you in Corio you can do courses like C++, Python, web development, database. So I like it a lot. Corio, you can customize all the assignments. You can monitor in how the time that the student spend doing X or Y problem. And actually it can record what the student is doing it. So you will be able to see if the student copy and paste the whole code, and just you will see that because it will tell you how much time the student spent on it. So if the student just spend 5 minutes for a complex problem, that catch our attention, right? So you can go to the video and see that it just copy and pasted and maybe change something small on it. So I like it a lot. This is a really good tool for that. And of course, generative AI, sorry, of course, the generative AI tool. So I use the students were open to use ChatGPT or Gemini or Llama, so I didn't have any restrictions about which large language model they want to use. So that was actually open for the students. But those are the main tools that I use to run this course. To give you an example, at an in-class activity, this is how it looks like in ChatGPT. So I designed this course, or mainly the programming activities were actually in Python. So the students, this is the view or the window view of Corio. So on the left side, on the right side, the student have the all the instructions. I started this course about teaching the students how to do the prompting, how to create a good prompt in order to get the best response as possible from the model. So I always ask to provide what was the prompts that they used, or if they were any improvement or they need to do any improvement from the first prompt that they use and the output. So on the right side, they do have the instruction, and the left side, they do have the Jupyter notebook where the students do the implementation in the case that the problem is in a programming problem. So this is basically how the Corio looks like and the way that I distributed the in-class activity and the instruction for the students. So I always have a time in class for or a block of time for the students that they can go over the in-class activity, and I was trying to check and monitor the student, which is quite difficult, just monitoring 25 students, but I try to do my best. And this is what I use for the in-class activity in the students. So these are the students' performance for some of the activities in-class activity that we have. And I want you to check on this one. So if you see the grades are pretty good, the average grade are pretty good ones. So we have 88, 64, well, sorry, 88.9, 90, 98, 76.4. So are quite good performance. So this tells that I was in front of the best programmers, right, in my class, and one of the best group of students that they were doing the best. Of course, some of those activities were category 1, category 2. At that point, I barely use category 3, but I highlight a lot that, hey, guys, don't copy and paste, don't copy and paste. So at the beginning, at the middle of before approaching the first test, I told them the test is in paper. That is a traditional assessment. It's not going to be online. It's not going to be on Canvas. It's not going to be multiple choice on Canvas. because there is the risk or that the students be tempted to do any help during the test. So I decided to do the test on paper just to check that they were not actually copied and pasted. So here, this is what I was talking about. You can see the performance of the students. So for this activity, they spent 25 minutes, as I mentioned. The problems that I was providing to the students were quite complex, so that they, in 26 minutes, it's quite curious, and the average was 89%. So for the next one, we have 38 minutes, which is quite fast, and the average rate was 85%. And then what happened? The first test come, and this was the result of the first test. As you can see, 8 students out of 25 passed the test. 8 students out of 25. That was on paper, no technology at all, no ChatGPT, no resources, and this was the metric. So was a critical performance on the first test, and that was the experience. So then I had to go again over the policy, the AI policy, the usability of this tool, and go an overview of all the things. So after that, they learn what happened. They learn from that experience, and this is the second test. So the second test was quite better, much better than the first test. So I think that from that point, from the first test to the rest of the semester, they actually were not just copied and pasted or not using inappropriately this tool, but it was actually, they were actually learning instead of replacing the learning by using the tool. As you can tell, it was much better. They were just 5 students that were not able to pass the test, but it was quite much better, right, than the first one. And I have to highlight, because there are a lot of C's, that's from the 70 to 78. I have to highlight that this is a challenging course. Design of analysis for algorithms is, I may say, is one of the more challenging course in any computer science program, which is combine a lot of foundation of programming, mathematical concepts, analysis. So it's not easy, but I think that the second test was great. Was what you can expect from a group that is studying hard for the test. So at the end, we have this final project. This final project, let me actually share with you. This is not an easy project. The project was that they have to build a navigation system. That was the general concept, a navigation system where they need to develop like an application for delivery. So I asked them to create a company, to start a company where they need to deliver a package, a product, or just to pick up some things and drop off or some place. So this is mainly where you have like Uber or DoorDash, those kind of applications. So I asked them to do this was the final project, the navigation system, and they were able to do it. So for this one, there is a well-known algorithms and design of algorithms, one of the most important, which is the Dijkstra algorithm. So they have to implement the Dijkstra algorithms to find the route and also to map it with the API on Google. So that was quite large, the projects, and they came out with amazing projects. This is one of the samples. Let me see if I'm able to show you the sample. I want to share this one right here. Let me see. So this is one of the projects that the students work on. And let me run it. So the idea is that they need to go over the code, show the code, and explain the code. I don't know if you are able to listen.
Science major from Indianapolis, Indiana, and I will be the one demonstrating the code that me and my team put together. So here is the code. Here's the API key that we had. Here's Dijkstra's algorithm. We also added the clear history function.
Let me move
The
forward.
info section. Your graphical user
So the idea is that they
interface.
went through the
So
code.
that
This was
displays
open. They
info.
were able to use
Run the code.
a generative AI
And
tools
we ran the
to
code.
complete the
This
work.
pops up. And we have input boxes for pickup location, delivery destination, client name, delivery man. We have our company name. We also have previous delivery history. Here's our company info with the name, founders, founded, and our short mission statement. So right now I'm going to demonstrate the code, and I'm just going to do a very short route between our school, Florida A&M, and State University. We'll do John. We'll do Jake. So we calculate the route. We do get a pop-up, and it does calculate the shortest route from Florida A&M to Florida State using the Google Maps API. Also, after we calculate the route, we have that the route is found. We have a delivery ID, client name, the driver, the delivery man pops up. The two locations to and from pop up, the total distance, and the amount of time that it takes. We also added a clear, so no deliveries recorded. And then we can also do longer distances. So I did California to Florida, which is broad, but it still shows the closest distance or the fastest route from California to Florida. Yeah. And then again, it still shows the routes found, the ID, the delivery ID.
So this is an example of using the advantage, right, of using generative AI. Let me go back to the presentation. So that is one of the advantage of using these tools, so we can expose the students to scale large projects that are pretty meaningful for their portfolio. And I think that that's quite meaningful for the learning process, being exposed to this kind of large projects. So in conclusion, generative AI is reshaping the way of knowledge being disseminated, take the best advantage of generative AI to improve student learning and create and establish clear guidelines of generative AI use. So we are just starting this new frontier using a generative AI. Let's see what comes next, and how we are adopting, how we do adapt to this new era of generative AI. So I end my presentation with these slides. If you have any questions, or if you wants to do any discussion.
So yes, let's open it to the participants. Any questions, comments? What can we ask? What we can add? What can we discuss? Let's hear from you.
I have a question. First of all, thank you very much, Dr. Turan. This was very helpful presentation, very insightful. So you've mentioned at the beginning that you prefer to apply this for higher level courses, which I completely understand from the viewpoint of, let's say, a computer scientist. But in our cases, like for other STEM disciplines, we're trying to help students advance in our classes and in their majors. So I was actually thinking how this can be applied. It's more about generative AI, that we can actually apply this in lower level courses to make students, to actually promote students think creatively and to promote their critical thinking, not the other way around. So what do you think about that?
Yes, as mentioned, I'm more in the side of apply these tools or the integration advanced course. But yes, I'm not disagreeing in introduce or use these tools in introductory courses, but I'm more concerns about that they don't rely too much about just using it, and we, as I mentioned, we should do a stronger limitation or rules in these courses. From in my opinions, yes, that I think that we may do some assignments that they get in touch with how to use this tool, how to learn using these tools. But I'm not quite sure. I mean, if the students at that level have that responsibility to ethically use correctly these tools. But yes, I think that could be introduced in these introductory courses, but provide a stronger limitation or rules in the use. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, I was not thinking about using it during exams or any other assignments, but assigning projects that can be assessed separately, projects that should be actually critically assessed by students based on the answers and based on the information that they receive. So it's not just, as you said, copy and paste, but taking the information and providing your own assessment to that. So to me, this is probably the way to go for lower level courses.
Yeah, you say like to start creating that mindset, that not copy paste from low level courses. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Great comments. Yeah. Other comments? Go ahead.
I get to piggyback off that. That's actually what I'm thinking about trying next semester, is that you give students like a math class, their problems to solve, and then have them give their solutions to the one of those generative AI models, and then have them critique the response from the model. So that way they can see their solution, see maybe how someone else might give a solution, and then kind of learn from that going back and forth of why you did this and why this might be right and why this might be wrong. But My actual question though was on the citation. What process you use for student citation of work produced by generative AI? How do you accomplish that?
Well, the way that I did was at the end of the assignment, the platform that I was using, it has the capability to do like a small survey. You can do a questions, and the way that I was doing it was asking once the students submit the assignments, it pop up this window, and the window is actually asking if you use any AI tools and what was the prompt that you use, or if you have to improve the prompt that you used. So that was mainly the way that I was trying to teach them to acknowledge the use of this tool. By at the end of the activity, they have to do this short survey about the use of the generative AI.
So in their produced work, they did not have to cite or comment any place where they put the work itself?
Yes, I do. And even though some of them they didn't do it, even that they was have like place side here, the use of generative AI, some of them just skip it and push the button to submit the assignment, and then it pop up this survey, and it's when they do the survey.
Okay, so yeah, because basically what I'm thinking is, let's say a student gives me 5 lines, and these 5 lines are his answer. Do you imagine him citing on line 3? This line, AI helped me with this line, or is it like you're saying, just at the end, just a general prompt guide?
Yes, I will actually was asking for a general prompt guide.
Okay.
Yes, mainly was that asking for a general prompt that they use.
Yeah, because what I'm thinking is, do we start have to do, like, in English, when you're writing a paper, any idea that's not your own, you need to you
Yeah,
need to acknowledge that. And I'm starting to wonder if that's what we need to do as well in science and technology, is we need to start being more open about where our answers are coming from.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe there is a tool that needs to be created for that, right? That the students can link it with the prompt, or link it with the output of the model. But yes, yeah, that's a good point, Maurice.
And Carlos, you brought up a very, very good point at the very beginning. This whole thing about critical thinking, eh, you know, we want that skill development. Uh, so so I appreciate your comments that made about this at the very beginning. What's the overall view that you had when students using this, and how it does it cut down on their ability for critical thinking? I mean, how are you, how do you overcome this?
Well, I can tell that they were not actually using it correctly, or they were not respecting the rules that was established for the use of generative AI, because the first test is the metrics, or the way that I assess the students, and mainly assess the way that they were utilizing generative AI. But for the second test, after this test, I have this good conversation with the students, and so it looks like it works, and they responsibly use this tool. For the second test was much better. It was as well on paper, And in this part, I see the point that Dr. Mativa says to start teaching the students from the introductory courses to ethically use these tools. But yes, Dr. Aldo, that was the way that I found out that they were not actually developing the critical skill or solving problem in class by using just generative AI, because they were usually not correctly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they were just maybe doing the prompts, the code work, is doing what it needs to do, is pass the specs, and that's it. I finished. So yes, generative AI is a pretty good tools to improve our learning, but also it could be a trade-off if we don't use it correctly.
Oh, no, absolutely. And this is the scary part because we don't want to be graduating students who's, right now, the critical thinking, collaboration, communication, creativity, AI demands these things. AI, using AI demands each of these things. Emotional intelligence also. Uh, and yet, if we let Gen AI take over, will we be graduating students where they are weak in these things? We don't want that. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing this up and emphasizing this. We all got to think seriously about this. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's the
We don't want to be run over by.
Yeah, yes. There's this one episode of Star Trek where they found this community that had an AI that did everything for them, but then the AI was failing, and they didn't know how to fix it.
There you go. Erdell. That's a good. Anybody else have such experiences that can we share? This is a serious issue. Uh, as I said, these skills, what they call the 4 C's, ethics and emotional intelligence, plus ethics and emotional intelligence, are the skills more than ever that uh, advanced technologies that we have now are demanding. And yet we can't be graduating students with being weak in these things. Anybody have any other experiences with this? It's I think about this a lot. Anyway, I hope this does generate this whole conversation does generate conversation amongst you all, because I think something we've got to be. These are tremendous tools, and as I said at the very beginning, now that we're going to have this new architecture where we have QPUs interacting with GPUs and CPUs, this is going to be a whole nother world. And so, we're just at the foundation of something much, much bigger. And it's going to take off, skyrocket in the next few months. You will see. And I like your comments at the beginning, Carlos, about the economy, about the impact on the economy, because that's exactly what's going to happen with these AI factories that are being built, that are producing these tokens that will run our other factories. The whole this is what we need to be educating our students on. A new world. Anyway, any other comments from others? We appreciate you all joining, and I hope you will join us next week. And please, Erdell, will you be sending out a survey, Erdell?
Yes, it's Austin on survey.
Okay. Please complete the survey, because we do want feedback. We got to be able to make a bigger impact on our faculty and students and staff. You know, this is changing higher education across the country, and the workforce is in demand for all of this, is demanding all of this. So we got to hear back from you how we can best run these things. And after this series, we will be talking about how we can work with faculty individually in small teams. Okay. Any other questions? Anybody? Any members of the cluster want to make any comments? Are we okay? Thank you very much, Carlos. And who's speaking next week? Do we know?
It's either Jinwei or Yon. I think it's
Okay.
Jinwei.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you for joining. Have a great day. Have a great evening. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye.